My name is Stacie Lamar, and welcome to Choppin' It Up. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the show, Choppin' It Up is an open forum where a group such as these people right here get together and discuss any and all topics. I'm talking all topics, y'all. Nothing is off limits. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our group today. We're going to start right here with this young man here.
My name is Jeff, known as Deuce, a.k.a. known to be found at It's the Jeff Experience on Instagram.
My name is Christina, known as Christina, and you can find me on Instagram at I am Christina Luisa.
Okay.
Last week you said you had nothing. You had something this week.
You've been hanging out with us too long.
She had something ready this week. That's because of Jeff. You know, he came on. Okay, let me do mine. Let me do mine. Hold on. Listen. Well, I'm Roman Pelham, known as the Mama's Boy, Z2H Network. Tap in and tap out. You open like the hospital.
All right, yeah, go ahead, Christina. You go ahead with your best self. All right, so before we get started, I just want to thank everyone that has visited the channel, viewed the comment, and has subscribed. Very good start to the channel. So for those of you who viewed the channel and subscribed, thank you so much. It really is appreciated. And for those of you who haven't, please do so. All right, so with that said, we're going to get right into it. We got a couple of great topics here today. And the first one is, how do we bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community, especially the African American and Latino communities? How do we bridge that gap? Is it possible, or are we just spinning our wheels at this point? We're going to go ahead and start with Christina. Christina, go ahead and chop that up. Can we bridge that gap?
It's going to be really rough. It's going to be very hard. I wish you hadn't gone with me first, but okay. I don't know. I'd rather you start with someone else because I'm just not even sure where I want to go. Did you want me to tell the history?
No, I could tap in.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't have a problem.
Let him go
I do
first.
not have a problem tapping
Let him
in.
go first.
Okay.
Tapping in. I'm tapping in, yeah, because I'll tap in. Listen, Jeff, you want me to start, Jeff? Because I don't have a problem.
Go ahead and get that.
Okay, look, let me say this first of all. First of all, it's when you say you want to bridge the gap, I'm just trying to understand where the gap is. The gap is where?
Right now there is no trust in law enforcement in the community. They feel the law enforcement officers are actually entitled to where they are not treated the same as you and I.
Right.
When a crime is committed by a law enforcement
The only
officer.
thing I can talk about is what I know.
Okay.
I'm not going to go off of what I read. I'm not going to go off of what somebody told me. I'm going to go off of what I've seen myself and what I've, how can I say, what's been in front of me for the last 6 months. That's all I can really go off. Okay. So first of all, the gap comes from when you're a child and every time the police come, they take somebody. That's where it starts. It don't start just like when they pull you over and get out the car. No, it starts because now my stigma, every time you guys show up with them lights, somebody's going. Somebody in my family, whether it's my neighbor, whether it's the dude across the street from me, don't nobody even have to be shot or nothing. But anytime I'm as a kid, I know when I hear certain things and I see certain things, somebody's going. Somebody's family member. It could be my friend's friend going. So when you say bridge the gap, it's tough. So, I mean, there's some other stuff I could touch on because at this point in time, it's all in a matter of who you're sending and how you're talking to people as these situations are going on because everybody's passionate. So if there's gunshots going off and this and that, you better best believe that they're not coming. What the hell are they going to be coming to a hostile situation for? They'll sit a mile away and wait until it clear up before they come in there. Okay, so I'm not going to get all the way in depth to it because I'm going to let some other people share, but I have a lot to share. But also, too, when you say bridge the gap between blacks and Latinos, Well, most of your police force in Palm Springs is Latino. So when you send in your police force to the north end of Palm Springs, you sending Latino cops. Bridge the gap, man.
All right. So, in your opinion, I mean, can they do anything to gain our trust, get the trust back?
I mean, whoever said they ever had it? Because every show I've ever watched, you know, from Chips, you know, if you used to watch Chips, they was chasing people too. So, I mean, it don't matter. And it was, what's his name? You had the white motorcycle, and then the other dude, Mexican dude, I can't remember his name, Poncherello.
Were they Chips?
Yeah, they was Chips. They was motorcycle cops. You ain't see no black motorcycle cop. You still ain't seen one.
Okay. All right. Jeff, go ahead, man. Chime in on that. Chop that up. Do you think that the what's going on today with, you know, the things that have transpired today, you know, we've all seen video of things, you know, atrocities, actually. Do you think that the trust can be regained and we can come to a mutual working relationship between us and law enforcement?
Hold on to your seat. He about to do this. I'm telling you.
Man.
He about to get this one.
No, I really do think so. Actually, I actually believe that there is a way. There's a couple ways in my mind, because the way my mind thinks is different, right? So you say bridge the gap. The gap is, I believe, we call them law enforcement officers. But in the beginning, they were called peace officers, right? So if they're to be peace, you got peace, you got to have peace. You need people that's supposed to come and maintain the peace, right? One. Let's not get into that too much. But before that, people get talking about, the origin of them is that they were slave catchers, you know, because the people that stopped you and said, hey, let me see your papers. What were they doing? Making sure you weren't a runaway slave or a person that was hiding slaves. So people say now they look at things like, oh, this is different. Oh, I can't believe this is happening. No, it's just this is somebody's idea that's being fostered through the media to drive wedges and division, because every great nation, every great empire has fallen from within. It hasn't fallen from without. So, you know, a house divided can't stand. And once we as Americans, we're all from somewhere else, we all have different backgrounds, but people only see life through the retina of their own experiences. So what we have to do is sit back and try to look at people for who they are when we're dealing with them. The law enforcement, I believe that how this could be made better is if the law enforcement officers are from the neighborhood in which they're policing.
Correct.
If you're local, then you might not be so quick to be trying to put your knee on somebody's neck that's your friend's cousin, or that's somebody that you know's family member.
Correct.
Versus, you know what I mean? Versus somebody that has to commute from 35 miles to 50 miles away and then is hidden away from the public because you're a public service officer. You should know. Everybody should know where you are, who you are, and what your business is, because this is your employment, right? I believe that's one way. And then another way, I believe, is if officers themselves, because I do believe that there are good people that go into being police officers. I'm not gonna say law enforcement, because that sounds like an active word, like we're going to be aggressive, you know. Enforcement, you know, it's like, oh, you don't have to enforce anything, man. Just hang out, do your job, and everything will be okay. I believe that if people were to go ahead and really look at life as what it is, I'm trying to de-escalate the situation. We look at it what their situation is. These officers come into contact with people who are crazy as hell, real life, and they showed millions of videos of officers getting killed. So if we look at it from their perspective, they look at it from ours. I believe that if we have an honest sit down and want to change, if we want change, it can happen. But the thing is that when you have Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter, BLM, two different BLMs, when we know that all lives matter, but right now there's certain houses that are on fire. You see what I'm saying? If we all live on one block and we'd be like, okay, everybody's house matters, but if your house is on fire, you know, we'd be like, hey, and the fire department comes, we'd be like, hey, man, what are you doing? Putting water on this house. My house matters too. Wet my house. All houses matter.
Like,
it's like, well, no, I think he needs a little more attention, because his house is on fire.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's just an analogy, but I do believe that it can be happen because, one, I have a lot of law enforcement in my family. So, and I know that they do the right thing. They're by the book people, you know, growing up. That's why I stayed away from them when I was living a different life. So, you know, that's just my take on it.
All right, Christina, go ahead, chop that up.
I think I can speak on it from a point of view of a mom. I happen to have brown children. And for me, and I'm white, if anybody doesn't know that.
We didn't know. Yeah, no, we didn't get that.
So for me, being in situations where if I was by myself, I would just be going about my normal day. Nothing would happen. But now, because my children are with me, it elicits a different reaction. Okay. Like I'm talking about being in a grocery store and having your child maybe crying and somebody finding it a problem. And instead of just saying something about the baby or the child, they're using the N-word. I'm talking about being in retail establishments and there being a shoplifter or some type of a problem, and all of a sudden my son is getting surrounded by the police because apparently he's brown and it has to be him because he's brown, when it was actually the white guy in the corner. So it's like those are the type of narratives that we have to like fight against, and that people need to it's something that's more innate in you than just making better decisions for the police. The other thing is they need to stop relying on their gun so much. There's no reason they need to bring their gun out for every scenario that they don't. Like, it's just ridiculous, really. My sons have never been arrested. I have 2 sons, never been arrested, but my one son has had a gun pulled on him 3 times by the police.
How old are your children? Or your sons?
25 and 23.
Okay.
And for what? Because he had a registration issue? You pulled out a gun for a registration issue? That's a problem to me. And there's a disconnect there. Yeah. So I don't really know what the answers are, but I know that there's some major problems that need to be dealt with. And
I have one more thing too.
Okay.
And one more thing to chime in, I forgot about. I was going to say accountability. If all the good officers were to go ahead, and this is real crazy, but if they were to go ahead and just, when there's a shooting, like an unarmed shooting, and the person, the officer that did the shooting, and it looks like it's clearly wrong or negligent, I think that all the officers from that particular unit, that particular station or whatever it is, should have a pay cut. They get a cut taken out of their stuff until it's all said and done about what's going on with this officer. If it's found out that he was negligent or was an issue, that money goes to the victim. If he wasn't, then they could get their money back, but they had to go without it for a minute. I think that when you mess with people's money, it teaches people to look at things a little. Hey, hold up, man! You messing with my check now? You know what I mean? Like, it makes some. I think something like that might. It doesn't have to be exactly, but something like that.
Mm-hmm. Roman, you have anything else on this?
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand, again, this come back, I think, to a conversation we was having before, to where we basically been loading the guns for them, in the aspect of, like, people not working. So you're going to have a few more issues, just like the depression, looting. It's a lot of people went nuts. And the way they thought they was gonna calm us down was to give us some money. You gotta understand that part too. And you gave kids the opportunity to order AK-47s online and build them. You understand what I mean? These kids are 16, 17 years old. Your parents getting a check for $6,000, $7,000. She don't want you all in your face. Your friends is all in the house and everything. How am I gonna get you out of there? I'm gonna give you $1,000. You go buy some Air Force Ones. You buy a gold chain and an AK-47.
In that order.
So, in saying that, I mean, bridging the gap is continuous. Like I told you, and these kids can't write a check. These kids don't know how to balance a checkbook. All these kids got Cash App, and they under 14, 15 years old. And they just have people Cash App them. They still don't know how to balance it. You got kids that's 16, 17 buying weed, buying blunts. I'm just saying, like, the gap goes further than this. And it all comes from, again, I mean, if you want them to show up and do their job, then, you got to make a decision on if you want to show them do their job or not, because they're going to ask you some questions. There's going to be some things, but you as a community, are you going to get together as a community and raise your kids, or are you going to let the system do it?
Okay. Jeff, you mentioned something that I have been thinking about. I didn't research this, but when you mentioned this, it a little light bulb went off. The media. Do you think the way we feel about law enforcement, the way we feel about them right now, do you think the media has a lot to do with that? What they show, because remember, the media it's all about ratings. That's how they get paid. That's how the people want to advertise on their channel. It's about ratings. So they're going to show whatever they need to show to get the best ratings. So do you think the media has a lot to do with how we feel about our law enforcement officers today?
Absolutely. I feel like the media has a lot to do with it, because a lot of people nowadays don't read. So they get a lot of their information from TV, and their television is
and text message.
If it's not on Facebook or some form of social media, they're watching their face is glued to what my grandmother used to call the idiot box. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's the blue tube. You're sitting there watching something that's somebody's ideas. It's not even real. It's not. News used to have to be factual back in the day. Mm-hmm. Now people actually have segments on real news stations that are nothing but opinionated, and people take that's the only time they have to catch the news. You're catching opinion instead of fact.
Right.
And if this person is so against a certain situation or a person, then that's what you get. Now, the media is they're a heavy influence on everything. And I believe that if you stop watching TV and look out your window, you'll see that things don't affect you as much as they say they do.
Okay. Also, too, though, if you look out the window, you're going to see that it's still moving. Everybody's still shaking and moving. But what I wanted to say about the media thing is that, this show might get cut because we're talking about content that ain't nobody supposed to be talking about. You know what I mean? So, the media does have a lot to do with it. You got to remember something, though. Every network or program has a program director. Mm-hmm. His job is to program. Mm-hmm. From the program director, from the media radio station to the TV. It's their job to make sure you see certain things and you see it in a repetitious form.
Manner.
Yeah.
Programming.
This programming. Mm-hmm. So when you say that, hell yeah, the media got something to do with it. Because they all got to get together and share the same content because it's programming. We want you to see certain things. We only want you to see what we want you to know. What you really need to know, you got to go study and know how to go look for it. And that's why they show our kids how to keep notes and do things like that. What I need this for? I'm just saying, If you want to know
what's really going on, you need this.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, I think that it needs to be talked about as what parents are teaching their children at home.
Absolutely.
Because
I
if
agree.
you're raising racist children,
right,
those racist children become policemen. Mm-hmm. They become members of our society that
beat up.
We have to interact with. You know what I mean? Or the people have to interact with. And if you're already in your value system innately feel that you're better than another race or group or whatever, mm-hmm. then it's just going to compound on what you already have going for yourself. If you arm them with a gun, and I already feel like your value is this big, I don't have to think twice about shooting you. Right, you know what I mean? Because I already feel that it's at some level in the back of my mind, it's justified. I'm not saying me, but I'm just saying this is, the thought process. My daughter is in middle school, and at least a few times a week she's being called the N-word, and no one does anything about it. Now, why is it okay for kids to say it, and why does she have to put up with it? And why is it not number one priority if children are going through this? She's not the only one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm gonna ask you a question. Okay. Yeah. Are they putting an A on it or an R on it?
These are.
I'm just gonna say there is a. I mean, I hate to say it, but there is a little. There is a difference.
No, there are definite racial slurs.
Okay.
towards other children.
I'm just asking.
Definite.
Because I'm
Yes.
already going to tell you, if you come to my house, you're going to hear it with an A couple of times. Just
Yes.
because.
No,
that's
I
the
mean,
way of how some of them talk.
we're not talking about that. We're talking about a defamatory term.
I believe you. I just want.
That was a good point, though. Because it does start. It does start in the home.
Yeah.
That's the foundation. That's where the bricks are laid.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So yes, that was a good point.
You're going to
Tell a lot about a person's household by how their children act.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Also, Tay, I know you're about to get to your topic of your stuff, but also too, let's go with a lot of things that's in the American everyday face is negative, is black. So let's just, I ain't gonna go into all that, but you wear what do you wear to a funeral? When you was in school, good guys wear what color, bad guys wear.
When you hook up a battery, which one is negative?
It's the same. It's just the whole thing. The penny
I'm
is
just saying, like,
the
it's
penny
the
is the
truth.
lowest thing, and money is brown. You know what I mean? The dime is smaller. But it's the only different color piece of money. Let's talk about it. So when you start talking about negativity,
You mean the penny?
the penny. Yeah, but the dime is smaller is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just smaller than a penny. But Abraham Lincoln is on there. Let's really go back. So when we go into our stuff, when we talk about bridging the gap, we got a long way to go. This could go on.
This is way bigger than this.
This show could go on for hours talking about this.
Yeah.
But you guys did bring up some excellent points. When I was growing up, I grew up in the Linwood, Compton area. So I lived all this. Okay, I have been pulled out of my car, sat on the curb for 2 and 3 hours as they went through my car. I've had my head slammed on the hood of a police car because I wasn't moving fast enough. I wasn't obeying what, their orders, if you will. So coming up, I had no love for the police, none, zip, nada, big old goose egg. But as I got older, like Jeff said, as I got older, I interacted, started interacting with some of them, and they're not all bad.
They're not, no.
They're not all bad. When I was younger, if you asked me, yeah, they were all bad, all of them. There wasn't a good one in the bunch. But like I said, as I got older and interacted with them, they're not all bad. They are actually human beings. They are people. They are people with families. They have children, little kids. They have wives, moms, dads. But right now, they are depicted as almost robots. These evil robots that do these evil, horrible things. As a human being, when they go out to work, which is what it is, it's a job. When they go out to work, they're only really thinking one thing. They want to get through this night or day or whatever shift they're working. They want to get through this shift and make it back home to their children, their wives, their moms, dads, whatever have you not. Now, with that said, if I'm a law enforcement officer, or we're gonna stop calling them law enforcement officers, because I should have researched that deeper. I don't even know when that started. They were peace officers when this all started.
Yeah,
peace officers.
Peace.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna. So if I'm a peace officer, and I'm on my shift, and I get a call from that someone's robbing a store, I drive up. And it just happens to be an African American male, just happens to be. And I roll up and I say, hey, stop, freeze, hold, whatever it is. I'm just telling you, stop, just right there, okay? And you yell at me, what are you gonna do? Shoot me? And you start walking toward me. What am I? Now you had a good point. You said that. I should, at this point, go for a non-lethal.
Absolutely.
Go for a non-lethal resolution to this situation.
Right.
All right. So let's say the person that I'm dealing with is a very large individual. Okay. I'm what 5? I think Prince is bigger than me. Okay. So
no.
So
That's a bad analogy.
He's coming toward me. All right. And I go for the taser. Now, you guys do realize that in order for the taser to be effective, it has to hit skin. Now, most people are wearing hoodies, which are loose, big jackets.
That's why.
Whatever. But if I go for the non-lethal and I shoot that taser and it gets embedded in that cloth, that I've done nothing.
Right.
Now I've just actually, let this person get a little closer to me.
I don't know, man. I don't think that the taser has enough projection to it. You have to have damn near a bulletproof vest on for it not to penetrate. One, and then two, the non-lethal taser has enough volts in it. It's made and designed for bigger people, so it's made to contract off of muscle and not fat. So if you ever see a person that's like Hercules size, big, you don't if it touches clothes, all it takes is a tap back. His whole body, he gonna do a whole backflip. But if you see a person that's real fat, it has a whole lot of fat on them, and they get tased. That's what you'll see videos where those dudes are getting tased, and they're like, they're just taking it off because it's fat. Fat doesn't conduct electricity like that. Okay. So in that case, I can see what you're saying, but it sounds like these officers need to have better training because it sounds like they're going in scared. You sound like an officer that's scared already before you get to the situation. You should be getting there to try to de-escalate it. And not go ahead and be like, I'm already ready to get cracking as soon as I pull up and, this dude big, let me go ahead and bust him down. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Okay.
That's a good point because in my research, what I found is that now this is peace officers. This is what they propose to bridge this gap. Now it makes for a good read. And all the research that I did, all the links will be in the description of this show. You can check it out for yourself. They are proposing, one, that they change their hiring tactics, where they look for people that can verbally express themselves well enough to be able to de-escalate a situation.
Actually have social skills.
Skills.
That'd be amazing.
Because right now, like Christina said, they are rolling up and they are depending on the fact that I have a badge, I have a gun, you are to do what I say.
Absolutely.
That's what they're thinking. When, like you said, in reality, they should be rolling up going, let me help you.
Peace.
Let me help you.
Peace.
Now, I'm not saying that
unless it's a robbery, like you said, if it's a robbery, then you rolling up, you got to apprehend.
But even then, it's still,
if there's no weapon present, you don't just pull out and start busting on him.
But even then, even if the person, there's a robbery in progress and he is the prime suspect, even then you are trying to de-escalate the situation. I don't know if you did it or not. But let's you and me leave here together. In one piece, alive. Okay. Yeah. I'm not gonna blow smoke up your, pardon my French, I'm not gonna blow smoke up your ass and say that you won't be going to jail.
Right.
But me and you will be alive after all this is
said and done.
It's said and done. Okay. So they are looking to hire people that actually have social skills.
That's great.
Okay. Two, another thing that they said they were going to be doing is looking at people with that were able to show empathy. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Yeah. Because again, I'm coming at it from an authoritative standpoint. I am the man. You do what I say.
Right.
Period. The end. Shut the flock up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, it makes for a good read, but as far as I know, now again, I'm not quite sure when they're going to do this, but this is what they say they want to do.
That's good though.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, I would make a horrible cop. I'm just going to say that. Because if I come on the scene and you talking shit, I'm busting your ass.
Right.
I'm sorry, man. I'm just saying. I feel some of it. But
So another thing, hold on.
The humanizing, what you were saying earlier, because they have to go home to their families.
Correct.
They have to go home to their parents or whoever else. We're humanizing the law enforcement or the peace officer, right? That's the same. What fell on me is the same thing that happens with these young kids that are out here being put, they're gang members or whatever, and they're saying like, oh, like they don't, you're a gang member, even though they're not gang members. But because their cousins are gang members, they got caught with these people, and they have the same, like, that's my cousin.
That's my
but,
cousin.
Oh,
yeah.
no, but you from there, you going, you can't, but I have a child. I have a wife to get home to. I can't be humanized. So that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing. How the public, this is how we could get this point across to the public, the gang members, how you want to be looked at as human, as a person who wants to go home to their family. Look at the officer who also needs to be humanized and needs to be made to see that they have a family to go home to as well.
That's how you bridge the gap.
That's how the gap could be bridged.
Yeah, I like it. All right, guys. So our next topic is going to be.
I'm sorry, man.
is going to
Sorry in
be
advance.
physical discipline.
Oh.
Physical discipline. Is it helpful or is it harmful, detrimental to your child if you physically
That's what we talking
discipline
about. Okay.
your child? You know, is it the lack thereof that is the reason our children are, there's no respect, in society today? Okay, Romeo, we're gonna start with you, man.
Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah. I don't wake up in the morning saying I'm gonna whoop my kid's ass. That's number one.
Well, that's a good thing.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, there is probably people who, I talk to people all the time who say they had bad issues with their parents. I just, it's hard to say, man, because everybody in my family got a whooping. And I can only speak off that again. And it wasn't like line it up type thing. It was like, nah, like I told you to do something. And anytime that I disobeyed to the point of where I told you more than once, there was other means of discipline. From, it wasn't, timeouts. It wasn't no chair sits.
Corporal punishment.
Yeah, it was, yeah. It was, and to be honest, man, like, my parents used to say they're gonna whoop me until I repent. I'm just telling you. I'm
sorry.
I'm just telling you. So that means if you're not crying, you're not repenting. I'm just saying, bro. I'm not saying. I'm just telling you how I got it. And my brothers always say I got it worse. They say I got it worse than they did because I was the one that was like.
Do you think you are a better man?
Of course,
for it?
I do.
Okay.
I do, because it's not. I found other ways of disciplining the same way. How I want to say this, I found other ways of disciplining for the ways that I thought I should have got. Does that make sense? Like I know, because my parents didn't whip me and then sit me down and talk to me.
So wasn't
no conversation after the fact, because the talking went on as the whooping was going.
Okay, gotcha.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Told you that, didn't I tell you? Da.
Right. Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to either answer or don't say nothing, or just understand that was the conversation. The conversation went down as you was getting it.
Right.
So go from that point.
Right.
And the whole thing was go find you something to do. Don't be all up on your parents all the time, like, because back then, if you didn't have your chores and stuff done and you didn't do the things you're supposed to do, you gotta best believe when your dad got home, if she wasn't done, he was about that life, because he just went out there and worked from 5 to 2:30, 3 o'clock, and he come home and the house is dirtier than it was when he left. You're gonna get your ass whooped. Like, you're gonna line it up.
So you want to get a timeout?
No, brother. Mom already told you. And she didn't have no cell phone to call him to say, hey, the house is messed up, don't trip, or this and that. No, all that shit was like random. You come home and this is what you get. So you got to remember, times have changed. Yeah.
Christina, go ahead.
I do think it's missing, actually. I really do, because, like, if you look at the kids today, there's a level of, I don't want to call it fear, but I guess it is a little bit of fear of the elders or the person in charge, where they feel like they're not scared, you know what I mean, of their parents. Like, do you want to, for me, I was doing chores when I was a kid because I did not want to get my ass whooped. Like, that was not because I wanted to be up in there doing the dishes, but because I knew what would happen if I didn't do it. And I think that when you don't do it, they don't have that same level of fear. So it can be maybe a little bit harder to control. But as kids get older, it's not as effective either. You know, the physical punishment.
Oh, no.
I feel, you know, these days it's taking away the phone, taking away the internet, taking away, you know, all those things that they apparently can't live without.
After you whoop their ass?
Huh?
After you whoop their ass? Take
well,
it?
No,
Yeah.
but like my youngest one, that doesn't really affect her that way.
Yeah.
So to me, I stopped doing it because it just doesn't affect her. If anything, it just doesn't change anything. And so I felt it was more effective to take away her phone, take away her all of her amenities that she loves so much. And then you get some action out of her.
All right, Jeff, chop that up, man. Good or
Because
bad?
we were talking about this. I'm going to hear this because we were already talking about this.
Corporal punishment. Oh man. Spare the rod, spoil the child. The Bible says that foolishness is bound up in them, but the rod of correction will drive it far from them. Now, I grew up a lot like similar
I'm
to.
not laughing, but it's
I grew up a lot similar to most people who grew up pre 90s. You know, I'll say it like that. You know what I mean? And I said to myself that I wasn't going to discipline my children the exact same way. I said to myself, I ain't gonna never hit my kids and that kind of stuff like that. And then I started thinking, like, as I see everybody that preaches nonviolence, everybody that preaches whatever it is, when they don't get the results that they want, what happens? They want to go to war. War is not diplomatic at all. It's the last resort. After we've done talked, and we done talked, and we done talked, blood gotta be shed, huh? You know, so I don't do that with my children. So what I do with my children, I do believe that I do believe in associating pain with disobedience, because I do know that the police will most definitely do that for you. Law enforcement, the peace officer he may or she may or may not jump out and ask you how your day is going, or they may just jump out and shoot the hell out of you. And I just want my kids to carry themselves in a way to where it's conductive and productive to society. So if I have to go ahead and get in your ass for that, I will do that to make sure that you understand. But I'm not one of those people that is like, like Roman says, or anybody. I talk to my kids a whole lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot. And then I'll be like, I start feeling like you punking me now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you think I'm a punk. You think it's a game.
Yeah.
You don't, you better ask about your daddy, man.
Yeah.
You know, and I go in from there.
That's where it goes.
All right, so we're going to stay here. Do you think that, and I like that word, corporal punishment, do you think corporal punishment is in today's society now? Because not back then they beat you whatever they got your hands on.
I got beat with everything.
Thank you.
Pots and everything. If it gets
So,
touched, I got hit with it.
but in today's society, do you think that is child abuse?
What, corporal punishment?
Today. So if you were to spank your child for whatever,
I think
is it child abuse?
I think it depends on how you do it. Now, if a person was to go ahead, I think if so like if your child has done something to where you're going to this level, right? I think that if you've had a discussion, you talk to them while you're in this situation, and I say, like, you don't give them more than like maybe 2 or 3 pops. It's not like you in there wailing on there.
Right.
You're taking out first of all, you don't do it while you're angry.
While you angry.
You see what I'm saying? You have to make sure that you have come to a place in your situation to where you're like, okay, it's my kid, and I'm trying to get a point across to him so they have an understanding. Because the child is not going to understand what you're talking about. They're just going to see your rage.
That's it.
You see what I'm saying? If they have an understanding as to why this is going on, they will have a better, I believe, understanding on how not to do it again.
Correct.
Okay. Christina, child abuse. Is it child abuse?
Corporate.
Corporal punishment.
Corporal punishment. Is it child abuse if you were to
I think
spank
as long
your
as it
children?
stays at spanking, it's not. I believe that when it ventures out, that you may be blurring some lines there. Also, I believe the reasons that you're using that form, like we've seen a lot on the internet of children being spanked or abused for
Twerking and all
being
that.
gay or
yeah.
that's just totally inappropriate, and that is child abuse because now you're attacking who they are or who they feel to believe themselves to be, as opposed to you didn't set the table, so now this is going to happen type of, what I'm saying, like two different spectrums of how people use it.
And to chime back in real quick, my kids in my household, they only get disciplined in that manner for two things. One is not listening, and number two is lying.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, if we can talk about it, if I ask you about something and you lie to me, now that merits, you're in trouble a different way. But versus if you go ahead and tell the truth, we can go ahead and get through it. You know what I mean?
Roman, so is corporal punishment, physical discipline, is that considered child abuse?
I'm gonna say no, but I'm gonna have to go off the spectrum of just being around the community, kids, and being around a bunch of people, just based on what I do. And if I can look at you as a kid and tell you need your ass whooped from the time you open your mouth and talk to me, and I can tell that you ain't been getting your ass whipped, or you have no sight of discipline, and the first questions I ask,
structure,
the first questions I say to the kid is I'm sorry, and they go, why? What do you mean, coach? Call your parents over here to the fence.
Yes, sir.
This is me now. I call the parents over to the fence, and I go, already, do y'all sure y'all want to do this? Because I don't want to have a confrontation with you in front. I'm telling the parent, I don't want to have a confrontation with you, Jeff, no, with you in front of your kid. Because what you're giving off right now is already that I'm going to have to do more than what you're doing already. You see? So what I'm saying is that, again, it still started at home.
Absolutely.
So then now when you want your son to go sit in the classroom for 8 hours or 7 hours, again, that's programming. They want our kids to just be programmed to work 8 hours. That's why they send them to school every day and sit down and be programmed to work, go punch in a clock, not go be successful and do your own thing. It ain't never been talked about. So no, it's not corporal punishment. Okay.
All right. Good points, and there are similarities between what we were saying with peace officers and the physical discipline.
How do you feel?
Myself, I feel that it is necessary at a certain point, like you said, Jeff. With my children, I would rather talk to them, but when they weren't listening, like you said, oh, you're just not going to listen to me, then yes, I would give them a spanking. Okay. Now, unfortunately, I'm very heavy-handed. Now, my daughter has brought this up to me several times. She is now an adult, and she will bring this up to me. And she's, you hit hard, and I try not to hit hard, but apparently it comes across as hard. Yeah. So, but I got my point across, and it was, maybe 1, 2, 3, and that's it. But
that's what got it was the hardness.
But they were hard.
That's why it was only 3.
That's
why it was only 3.
I will say
all 3 of them.
I'm trying.
Trust me.
Okay, hold on. I will say that my 2 eldest children are very respectful individuals.
They come from good stock, man. I see it.
Yeah. So, yes, I did spank my children, but it was when, like you said, they lied, they weren't listening, or they were about to do something or did something that could severely hurt them.
Right.
I didn't want to take the time to say, okay, if you touch that stove, it's going to burn you. No, I didn't want to wait for a second chance at that. Yeah. It was like, don't touch that, pop, pop. Don't ever do that again. It didn't happen again.
Right.
Okay. because I don't want to take the chance that they could be like, is he kidding? Let me check it out. And now I'm in the burn ward, you know.
Well, like, or I remember with my daughter crossing the street, and then I spanked her to let her know. She was like 2. Like, but I needed to let her know in that moment, or she was about to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm saving her life. And she remembers it. As an adult, she remembers it.
And I remember playing with matches and getting my hands whooped with a wooden brush. Yeah, you remember things like that.
I got a whooping at school. I remember in Florida, boy. Well, I'm trying to tell you, boy, I might be dating myself right now, but yeah, you know.
That's community. That's
that
community
good paddle.
raising.
That's that good paddle.
All right, guys. So,
That's community raising.
I'm gonna go with what the society says for us to do. First of all, corporal punishment, spanking, whatever you want to call it, society says it is no. We should not be doing that because it teaches our children that in order to get what we want, we have to resort to violence. This is not me talking, because I just told you how I felt. This is what the experts are saying.
One more thing about that. They want you, I believe they say that because it's easier for them to go ahead and say, yeah, don't do it, so they be disobedient. And we can make money off them by locking them up and putting them in these crazy houses.
No doubt, probably. So, but again, they say don't do it because it makes the child think that in order to get what I want, I have to resort to violence. They said that this is why you have bullying in schools, because the child receives physical discipline at home, so they have this learned aggressiveness. So I'm gonna go beat you up to take your lunch money or your milk or whatever it is I want from you to get my way with you. They also say that it teaches the kids not to trust their parents. If I tell Dad that I'm pregnant, well, not me, but
yeah, you.
I'm pregnant, right?
Yeah.
Is he gonna freaking fly off the handle and slap me? What type of response am I gonna get from Pop when I tell him I made this humongous mistake?
Are you gonna get hit in the head with a frying pan, or you gonna get I'm disappointed in you?
Are we still talking about the peace officers?
No.
Because I'm just saying, if you listen to what we talk, it's all about sounding relative. Just to the fact of that's why some of those dudes are cops too, though, because a lot of them didn't get their ass whooped. I'm just saying, and then now they want to take control by giving orders and people to, I don't know, it's just starting to sound the same to me.
Yeah. Now, remember when we were talking earlier, Jeff, how I said I these two were directly related? Remember?
Oh, yeah.
He just hit that nail right on the head.
I'm telling you, bro.
Because spare the rod, spoil the child is, to an extent, correct. But you have to build a relationship with your children. I tell my daughter, my youngest now, I tell her all the time, do not be afraid to tell me anything. I'm not saying that I'm not going to get upset. But like you said, if you tell me, we can work through it.
Yeah, that's because rules without relationship creates rebellion.
Yes, sir.
If you have rule, how can you put rules on somebody and you don't have a relationship with them, and then all you do, your relationship is just beating on them? That's going to create a rebellion. Anything you say is, I don't want to do nothing. They're going to, the only thing you're going to do, all you do is beat me anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or all you do is yell at me or whatever your thing is. But if you have that relationship, like you said, if you come in that you have a relationship, somebody's more likely to listen to you because of our relationship.
Yeah.
Rules without relationship equals rebellion.
So that was one of the things that they said in here that, it promotes that they don't trust their parents, because like you said, all you're gonna do is hit me anyway. No matter what we discuss, all you're gonna do is hit me anyway.
I do find that to be true, to be honest, because I can remember not trusting my parents at all. You know what I mean? With anything that I did. So I do find that to be actually true.
But in today's day, I believe that we are more modernized now. We have a lot more knowledge now than our parents did then.
That's true.
We have so much information at our fingertips to where it just swarms us. So many YouTube University doctorates out here. You know what I mean? People got their doctorate from YouTube. There's so much that's going in. So like, you know, parents can know so much more on how to parent and do things better. I just believe they could if they want to look. Versus like if we had the internet, if I had YouTube, if I had the internet when I was in school, I'd have been a mathematician or something.
All right. So just to wrap it up, good or bad physical discipline? Necessary or not necessary?
Case by case.
Okay.
I think the same thing, case by case situations.
Case
I'm
by
with
case.
it, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different, exactly. Everybody's different. All right, everyone. That is it for this episode. If you agree or disagree with what was said here today, please leave your comments. I'd like to know what you got to say because I know you got something to say. This is Stacie, Lamar. This is Chopping It Up. We'll see you next time.